Can you hear me okay? Okay. Peace be upon you. So it's sunny, so I expect people to turn up. Samsara endures. So let's start with reflecting on the last couple of weeks' experience. People been managing to do the morning pages. Yeah, nodding. Yeah. Sometimes, yeah. I mean, the optimum amount is obviously 7 days, but 1 day is good. Obviously, with a new baby, it's impossible to do 7. So, any reflections on that? Okay.
At the start, it was like absolute gobbledygook, like just total nonsense. But the longer I've gone on, I enjoy it now because it's still nonsense, but it's sometimes it's really quite nice it's coming out. But I am also seeing it's just a constant stream that I can tap into. Um, yeah, I've not. There's not really like I've noticed judgment a few times, but not a lot. I'm quite comfortable just writing absolute profanities, and that's just what's coming up. But I was wondering how long you did it for. So I'd quite like to keep it going.
Um, I can't remember, right? But I think about a year and a half.
Hmm.
Yeah. I don't know, I never looked at them ever. Some people look back. I think some people can like tap into the morning pages and like it starts to become for them like a creative work can come from the morning pages. But I don't know. I think I would so consciously set it up just letting it come out and not have that as any kind of space for that to happen for me personally. And then the creative stuff happened another time. So it's great. And it's interesting for you because when I did them, I wasn't practicing observation. My practices was praying, like sadhana, praying and mantras. That was essentially my practice. I did some breathing meditation, but you've been practicing observation, right? So you can just observe what comes out. It's like essentially, you're just doing like Dzogchen like the introductory practice to Dzogchen meditation or Mahamudra, just observing the mind. You're just writing it down because is that kind of
Yeah. Hmm.
yeah. Any skepticism arising? Like, oh, this is really great, but how long do I have to do it for? Oh, this is really working, but Is there that much point in doing it? Is this really spiritual? What's it? Anything coming to try and knock down?
Not so much that, it's
Hold on a second, please. I forgot to get this up.
I haven't felt skeptical about it yet. It's but what I have noticed is that no judgment, and then judgment, judgment, more judgment. So it's playing, but it's been also useful with Vajrasattva. So writing my regrets down, so sort of trying to use it to continue and deepen. But yeah, a lot of little crumb, all kinds of stuff, but it's fairly consistent low level judgment about it. But watching, I think it sort of makes it external in a way which is different to the inward practices. Mm-hmm. Not so much to look back, but just to see the writing itself is like building some confidence in the possibility of getting to the purification, getting to. So it's supporting that. Yeah, and it could go on for a long time.
Yeah, and in reference to that, there's some people, they never stop doing it. Yeah. It's like a tool. Just like any other meditation. It's the thing, the meditation they like, and they never stop. Anyone else? No problem. Yeah. You want to share?
Yeah, for me, it's been really interesting because it's first thing, it's also kind of merged in with the dream journal. So it's quite nice to actually have that prompt not to do other things first and then you forget. So there's a bit of dream stuff in there too. And it's been interesting for me to actually see the different aspects of the mind. So the dream part's one thing, and that kind of leads into maybe the waking dreams, our hopes and dreams, our imaginings of things. And then generally it's about 2 pages in-ish that I go, right, it's Wednesday. So Wednesday means that I've got, like, how many children have I got here? Are they at their dad's? Are they here? Are they doing something else? What have I got after school? It's workshop night tonight. And then that more logical, factual use of the mind comes in, and it's a bit more, it's a different, it feels like that separation of dreaminess, like just there's no time, and then suddenly there is time, things are important, you've got these responsibilities. So that's interesting for me, not unpleasant in the slightest, just it's been interesting to notice that.
Yeah, that's great. These are important things people are saying that we hear, that we talk about a lot. It's just noticing. The power of just noticing, not judging life. And it's a very interesting tool. Raymond?
Obviously the practicality of things, I'm still kind of working out how to do things outside of serving my child. But when I have managed to do it, it was quite surprising how much I wanted to change what I was writing to make it more formulated, and it wasn't until maybe 2 or 3 days after maybe doing it that I was like, I'm still censoring the mind stream. I'm still trying to make it into a nice neat package, grammatically correct, or picking and choosing subjects that I think that are interesting, and I think it's mostly because when I think about it, it's underlying of like, what if someone reads this and I want it to appear beautiful or appear in a certain way that's pleasing to another person. Yeah. And that's when I noticed that, and then I tried to stop it and just kind of do the mind stream and just not censor myself. It was quite hard to get out of it. I really still like wasn't noticing what was coming and really was trying to focus on certain things, and yeah, it was really hard for me just to let the mind stream come and just write that down and be okay with just writing that down, and for that to be the practice. And I think maybe, well, a lot of it probably stems from just trying to make myself digestible for others, and so that will trickle down into these practices. And also maybe when I was younger, when I did have a diary, it was read by my family, and that that kind of scarred me in having any kind of diaries to keep, because I was just so afraid that what they would read would reflect bad on me, which it did at one point, and I think I got into trouble because I liked Eminem, and I used to write his lyrics down, and they found it, and it was just like the no like no go.
Yeah, there's a thank you. There's a profound thing that comes up when you talk about that, and it's being around people you can trust. It's very, very rare. Yeah, I had like my ex was still on Netflix, so you get the accounts. When I kept on it for the, never looked once what she watched. Never, not once. When so it's like Rahima's got a diary, so I'm never going to look at them. And it's like it's a thing to experience that. But another thing, I'm sure I don't know. I think my dad went through my stuff and read my morning pages things that I had. He made this comment about something that he wrote, and he thought I was totally deranged. Yeah, like really like bringing it up and putting me down, and I was just like, great. It's a really kind of like what you're talking about. It's when it goes through the mind, someone's going to read it, and it's like when you just go, I don't care what people think about me anymore. And you don't even try to change their view of you. Part of the bodhisattva thing is to not necessarily create a bad reputation if you don't need to. And if you can do something about it, maybe try to change their view. But it's also good to have no care whatsoever. And these are revealing mirror. It's a mirror to show it. I think someone's going to watch me. I think someone's going to judge me, and seeing how we've lived. We've been around people who breach our innermost private boundaries, and how affecting that is, and what it's like to meet people you can trust. Gotcha.
Just in a sharing, I had always kept diaries, but when I was about maybe 15, I was pretty poorly behaved. I wasn't very respectful to my mum. And one night I hadn't made any contact, I hadn't come home. So she read my diary. And it was, I'd been angry at someone else. And so she had called a couple of her sisters. They also read the diary. I'm angry about, I'm going to tell her to her face that she better never speak to me like that again, all this kind of thing. So when I got home, my mum and my two aunties were waiting for me. They had the conversation. I was furious about, how dare you read my diaries? That's such an infringement. They were like, sit down and listen to us because we're adults and you're a wee shit right now. So next day in my diary, I was met two friends, went to the park, drank lashings of lemonade, had a lovely time, did all that in the hope that they would be so cheeky to read it again. But it took me a bit of time. But I loved these people. These people, I understood why they did it. The depth of love and the absolute blooming dressing down I got for my shit. I could understand it. And I was still bullshit, 15, 16, but the intent from them was different and it was beautiful. And not that I would ever read anyone's diary like I would do anything, but I could understand why they did that as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a different situation of someone thinks you're in like genuine trouble, then it's okay to kick the door down and go in and find how to solve that thing, rather than people just want to know what you're writing about, and they break that trust. Yeah, is that what you're kind of getting at? Yeah. Okay, great. Let's see. I'll tell you what. How? No, here's a good question. How many of you feel that God's guiding you? There's an actual creative force guiding you.
Yeah, I do feel that.
Somehow, mention. Skepticism on the edge. That's how I think it's very interesting. It's like, even though like synchronicities arise, things keep happening. It's still like, yeah, I don't know about that.
Doubt always seems to creep in.
Doubt always seems to creep in. Because, so Buddha says you have to follow your doubt. It's like you never believe just because you're told. But it's like starting to sense and intuit life unfolding, and it's getting to grips with what God is. Yeah. So God is life. So the meditation we're going to do just now, and we'll do for the next weeks, this is the perfect time to do it, is to observe a flower. So, let me wrote down a couple of things. So we want to just observe the flower. But I'll say a few things that we can, if we're thinking too much, we can contemplate. But also as a background to when we go in. So God is the force of life. Yeah. So even crushed flowers are beautiful. Yeah. Even crushed flowers are beautiful. So believe it or not, Jesus said, consider the lilies. So he meant consider them, right? Meditate on them. So do you see the beauty in a flower? Have you actually contemplated that beauty? Have you sat and observed it and digested that beauty? You must do it. Sit and observe it, not in your imagination, but actually sit and gaze at a living flower So spring's perfect time for that. So take 10 minutes and go and observe a flower. The beauty you see is pure sex. The delicacy of it, the beauty of it, the magnificence of it, the incomprehensible nature of that flower is pure, creative, sexual energy. So if you're wondering, the relationship to that is the planet Venus. Yeah. So consider how the flower is always beautiful. So if you're thinking or just you need something to contemplate, consider its growth. Consider its changes. Consider its place in the universe. It's always beautiful. This is sexual energy. We're practicing the path. We're using sexual, and we're moving from lust to sexual energy. And this is a symbol that we'll have in our mind of that pure intelligence that is life, that is God. And we are, so Jesus is saying, consider the lilies. It's like everything is trying to support that life. Now, human beings may come and crush the flower, right? May come and crush the flower. That's got nothing to do with God. That's human beings. You can get into a wider philosophical discussion about God created all the negative forces, but that's not what we're interested in. In actual experiential spiritual practice, is understanding the life force, the creative energy that's even like Chernobyl, things start and grow. It's constant creative thing. And the esoteric spiritual traditions that say God is that energy inside us. It's continuously creating, continuously wanting us to flourish and grow. Yeah. And samsara is when those energies are perverted. Love becomes anger. Yeah. Contentment becomes greed. All those energies are perverted, and we've lost touch of what that creative energy is within us, but it wants to manifest. And part of it is seeing that everything in us, like the flower, is beautiful. That's what we're doing, right? Every stage of us growing is beautiful. Us growing is God. It's an intelligence that's moving forward all the time to grow. And we block that intelligence with ideas of security, permanence, identity based around the perverted energies, and then the mind. Not the flowing energy, the mind. And then it becomes man-made. And then we have all this destruction around us, which is not the creative force. And if we check that creative force, as soon as we drop the mind, this is what the spiritual teachers are telling us, this energy comes, this flow, this creativity, it's there immediately. This is what we mean by its intelligence. We will start doing the right things. You start doing the right things, you think that everything in life is supporting us to live. It's supporting us to succeed, and then different things will come into our lives, and then we have to catch them. The synchronicities. So if you really go, right, I really, really want to do this, very quickly something will happen in your life, like an opportunity. It might not be how you've designed it in your mind, the opportunity. Like it might be a writing course in Spain, but it'll manifest. Or the job that you really want, and somehow a trainee position opens up somewhere, and you go, no, well, maybe I'll try it later, and then the opportunity's gone. The mind came in, the fear came in, who I am came in. So Jesus is saying, go and consider the flowers, be with them, contemplate that, and how much is just this support. Life is supporting this thing growing. And Jesus says, that's just a flower. He said, when you transmute your sex energy, your creative energy fully into a non-perverted mind that's clear and pure, then you might meet some rare people, but it's more beautiful than a million flowers. we can debate what God means. It's not some person going, well, you do this and I'll put this in your way. It's a constant energy, creating, constantly trying to guide us and help us, putting things in our way to support. So, I don't know how far up in your flats you are or where you are, but we can obviously go outside and go and sit with a flower or a blooming tree. Maybe the cherry blossoms are starting, and just be with it for 10 minutes and then come back. So it's 5 to 12. So let's say we come back here at 20 past 12. No, is that 20 minutes? 10 minutes.
That's 25.
Quarter past. If we come back here for quarter past 12, and so sit with the flower for 10 minutes. Yeah. Thank you. paper and pen, or something to write on. You've got paper or pen, yeah, Jen. So, we're gonna list 20 things you enjoy doing. So if your mind's got blank, it sounds like rock climbing, roller skating, baking pies, making soup, making love again. Maybe like make love a third time, that's enjoy. Riding a bike, riding a horse, playing football, doing keepy uppies, going for a run, reading poetry, and so forth. Everyone got a reasonable amount, if not 20. Yeah. Okay. If you can, I want you to put the date down that you last did it.
I know things I do all the time, like today.
Great.
So that's cool.
Yeah, it's just, when was the last time you did these things? Can't move. Okay. I mean, if you want to leave and go back and look, see the last time you did it. On the list is like a thing to look on to see for the dates when you're going on dates with yourself. But the idea is like pick two of your favourites that you've avoided for a long time and do them in the coming fortnight. If you're doing them all already, then great. You may want to think of something that you really enjoy you haven't done for a while and do it. And so the idea, one of the ideas on the course is that it's just, it's not going wild. Like, it's not necessarily, apart from the artist date, we really take some time out. It's just finding 15 minutes here and there to go, like, it might just be like looking at the flowers. You know, I like looking at the flowers and just spending 10 minutes looking at the flowers and doing, say, just a couple this week where you take time out for yourself. Yeah, to kind of get out of, like, saying the mind system, like Yang Chen was talking about, the schedule, and find time for being a lily in the wind. You know, they're not operating from the realm of mind functioning and schedules, and they're just existing. And, you know, what is the meaning of life? It's not to fill in schedules and things like this. you know, you know what things you've got on your list. You know, maybe like if you like baking, just take some time out and bake something rather than just a quick hit. Or if you like painting, you don't have to do you don't have to get all the canvas out. You may do that as your like the date, but you just might get some just to do a little drawing. Take 10 minutes and do a little sketch. You know, it's like be creative with yourself. And part of this course is going. These things are important. Yeah. For nurturing our creative attention. It's one of the things we want to develop or really focus on, that you've heard like many times, but now is attention. Moment to moment living. Yeah, not wild philosophical living. This is like going now like into the feminine way of life, which is describing what's happening in the here and now. Especially like older women, generally, if they're telling you what's happened in their day, they'll be like, oh, you know, the birds landed in the bush. The bush isn't growing so much today, and these like that. Just notice. I love my room. I love the way the desk is. I love the way I've put my stuff. You know, like in terms of like making music, it's like I love exercising my fingers on the guitar, just enjoying every part of the process, and as much as we can, like the flowers, avoiding goals. A goal-oriented mindset, just this playful. I just really enjoy it. Like, I enjoy a bouncy ball. I enjoy playing with a bouncy ball. Does anybody enjoy it? Just enjoy playing against, like, you know, what career am I going to get out of it? What will people think of me if I'm playing with a bouncy ball? And we have to remember the body is not interested at all in like working in an office. It's not interested at all in. It's no interest. It's interested in a bouncy ball. It's interested in moving these things. This quality of moment to moment living, and really do it. It's like, you know, how you're drinking your tea, just enjoying your cups. Like really, really important. And you got this list, and just keep bringing in things you're enjoying. You're spending time doing. Just, you know, we have to work, but then you can bring this attention to. If you're this is the artist's eye. If you did art at school, it's like it's really trained you well to be a meditator. You look, if you've drawn like shoes, you just look and then just like you always notice how unbelievably beautiful shoes are, and the shape and the movement, and it's like to everything. Until you like, basically like Van Gogh, you can't take it. You can't take how beautiful everything is, isn't it? It's this artist's eye, paying attention, living moment to moment for the next 2 weeks. Whenever plans come, just psychological plans. You can make a plan in the moment, right? Unless you're a complete doofus. Just psychological time, like as if it's real, as if things are going to happen because I've thought them. You still have to make a plan. Someone sends you a message, you want to meet tomorrow, and go, he's got, let's try and meet tomorrow. And you don't need to think about it anymore. Let's get on with the things. Psychologically going, oh, well, what about tomorrow? What will happen? As soon as you go, drop it. Yeah. It's a very kind of beautiful, playful, have this play as your. I mean, how hard is it looking at a flower? It's one of my favourites, like you going out into nature and don't do anything. Just let your gaze rest. But leaves are usually pretty amazing. They get quite trippy. Yeah. Things can happen, right? Like it just sort of changes into energy and just like shapes emerge, and sometimes it's like really transcendental. It's the icon, isn't it? So that's part of the homework. Now, I'm going to read some stuff, hopefully it won't be too much reading, but this is we're now getting into turning our life around affects other people. Yeah, this is now we're getting into the stuff. So as we gain strength, so will some of the attacks of self-doubt. This is normal, and we can deal with these stronger attacks when we see them as symptoms of recovery. Common self-attacks are, okay, so I did okay this week, but it's just a temporary thing. Okay, so I got the morning pages done, I probably did them wrong. Okay, so now I need to plan something big and do it right away. Who am I kidding? I'll never recover. Not right away, not ever. These attacks are groundless, but very convincing to ourselves. Buying into them enables us to remain stuck and victimized. Just as a recovering alcoholic must avoid the first drink, the recovering artist must avoid the first think. For us, that think is really self-doubt. I don't think this is any good. Am I doing it right? It's like one of the classics. As long as we're blocked, we often feel that it was arrogance and self-will to speak of ourselves as creative artists. The truth is that it was self-will to refuse to acknowledge our creativity. You can meditate on that all 2 weeks. As long as we're blocked, we often feel that it was arrogance and self-will to speak of ourselves as creative artists. The truth is that it was self-will to refuse to acknowledge our creativity. So this is what Don Juan says. It takes as much energy to invest in our self-identity as miserable than it does to invest in being happy. It's the same energy. It's just, for us, that energy is now like spontaneous, or for a lot of people. We just spontaneously go into self-doubt, but it's the same energy, the same amount of thinking. It's second nature. What we're talking about is first nature. Right? And that energy just goes, no, I'm rubbish. No, I'm not really good enough. No, I'm not really. Yeah, who am I to shine? That's showing off. That's ego. That's classic from the spiritual. Well, that's ego. No, do not share with jealous, blocked friends. Do not share your morning pages. I'm going to tell you something. Maybe you experience yourself. If you're starting any creative project, if you're starting writing and something's happening, if you're starting music and something's good, if you're starting baking and something, you're getting into it, you're getting anything, you're thinking, there's an urge to share and go, I'm doing this. 90% of the time it's wrong to do it. You'll share with someone who, even just a look, and it's like it crushes it. I'm telling you now, do not share it until you actually have something. Don't go, oh, I'm starting to write a book. Write a book and then share it and go, look what I did. Unless you've got a very special creative friend who's always positive. And you can bounce and you can mirror. But in this stage, don't even do it with them yet. Just go with it. Most people, are jealous. Right? If you're flourishing, they're jealous. So, quote from Robert Louis Stevenson. To know what you prefer, instead of humbly saying amen to what the world tells you you ought to prefer, is to have kept your soul alive. My favourite quote from Osho: go against the whole world. Was it? Follow your truth, even if it means going against the whole world. And he did. Right? If anybody did, he did. So, do not expect your blocked friends to applaud your recovery. So this is like spiritual growth or anything. People who are in pain themselves. That's like expecting your best friends from the bar to celebrate your sobriety. How can they when their own drinking is something they want to hold on to? Blocked friends may find your recovery disturbing. Your getting unblocked raises the unsettling possibility that they too could become unblocked and move into authentic, creative risks rather than bench-sitting cynicism. Be alert to subtle sabotage from friends. You cannot afford their well-meaning doubts right now. Their doubts will reactivate your own. Be particularly alert to any suggestion that you have become selfish or different. These are red alert words for us. They are attempts to leverage us back into our old ways for the sake of someone else's comfort, not our own. Yeah. Blocked creatives are easily manipulated by guilt. Our friends, feeling abandoned by our departure from the ranks of the blocked, may unconsciously try to guilt trip us into giving up our newly healthy habits. It is very important to understand that the time given to morning pages is time between you and God. You best know your answers. You'll be led to new sources of support as you begin to support yourself. Be very careful to safeguard your newly recovering artist. Often creativity is blocked by our falling in with other people's plans for us. We want to set aside time for our creative work, but we feel we should do something else instead. As blocked creatives, we focus not on our responsibilities to ourselves, but on our responsibility to others. We tend to think such behavior makes us good people. It doesn't. It makes us frustrated people. The essential element in nurturing our creativity lies in nurturing ourselves. Through self-nurturance, we nurture our inner connection to the great Creator. Through this connection, our creativity will unfold. Paths will appear for us. We need to trust the great Creator and move out in faith. Repeat, the great Creator has gifted us with creativity. Our gift back is our use of it. Do not let friends squander your time. Be gentle but firm and hang tough. The best thing you can do for your friends is to be an example through your own recovery. Do not let their fears and second thoughts derail you. Soon enough, the techniques you learn will enable you to teach others. Soon enough, you'll be a bridge that will allow others to cross over from self-doubt into self-expression. For right now, protect your artist by refusing to show your morning pages to interested bystanders or to share your artist date with friends. Draw a sacred circle around your recovery. Give yourself the gift of faith. Trust that you are on the right track. You are. As your recovery progresses, you'll come to experience a more comfortable faith in your Creator and your Creator within. You will learn that it's actually easier to write than not to write, paint than not paint, and so forth. You will learn to enjoy the process of being a creative channel and to surrender your need to control the result. You will discover the joy of practicing your creativity. The process, not the product, will become your focus. Your own healing is the greatest message of hope for others. That sound all right?
Could I share?
Mm.
It just occurred to me. I've put together a course to do. I've rented the room at the Salisbury Centre for people to come and do collage and different things. Starts on for 5 weeks and it starts on Tuesday. It's Tuesday evening, 6 till 8. So it's just by donation if anyone wants to come and join it in there. It's not very convenient for anybody, but if you're in Edinburgh, come along. So yeah, coincidentally,
Beautiful.
yeah, there's a few people interested, so I'm quite excited.
Oh yeah, that's great. Thank you. Now we all right, we'll go on to, I'm just gonna read this out from this text. It's great. It's Crazy Makers. So it's about people who disrupt our life. And you say we can manifest them. It's like manifesting our doubts externally. Yeah. So hopefully it's like won't be too long, but you'll find it interesting, and you may find it. And if you noticed, try not to judge too harshly if you've been a crazy maker. Let's see. A related thing creatives do to avoid being creative is to involve themselves with crazy makers. Crazy makers are those personalities that create storm centers. They are often charismatic, frequently charming, highly inventive, and powerfully persuasive. And for the creative person in their vicinity, they are enormously destructive. You know the type, charismatic but out of control, long on problems and short on solutions. Crazy makers are the kind of people who can take over your whole life. To fixer-uppers, they are irresistible. So much to change, so many distractions. If you're involved with the crazy maker, you probably know it already, and you certainly recognize the thumbnail description in the paragraph above. Crazy makers like drama. If they can swing it, they are the star. Everyone around them functions as supporting cast, picking up their cues, their entrances and exits from the crazy maker's crazy whims. Some of the most profoundly destructive crazy makers I have ever encountered are themselves famous artists. They are the kind of artists that give the rest of us bad names. Often larger than life, they acquire the status by feeding on the life energies of those around them. For this reason, many of the most crazy artists in America are found surrounded by a cadre of supporters as talented as they are, but determined to subvert their own talent in the service of the crazy-making king. I'm thinking of a movie set I visited several years ago. The filmmaker is one of the giants of American cinema. His stature was unmistakable, and so was his identity as a crazy maker. Given that all filmmaking is demanding, his sets are far more so. Longer hours, long bouts of paranoia, intrigue, and politics. Amid rumours that the set was bugged, this crazy maker king addressed his actors over a loudspeaker system while he, like the Wizard of Oz, secreted himself away in a large and luxuriously equipped trailer cave. Over the past 2 decades, I have watched many directors at work. I was married to a profoundly gifted director, and I have directed a feature myself. I have often remarked how closely a film crew resembles an extended family. In the case of this crazy maker king, the crew resembled nothing so much as an alcoholic family, the alcoholic drinker, surrounded by his tiptoeing enablers, all pretending that his outsized ego and its concomitant demands were normal. On that crazy maker set, the production lurched off schedule and over budget from King Baby's unreasonable demands. A film crew is essentially a crew of experts, and to watch these estimable experts become disheartened was a strong lesson for me in the poisonous power of crazy making. Brilliant set designers, costume designers, sound engineers, not to mention actors, became increasingly injured as the production ran its devastating course. It was against the crazy-making director's personal dramas that they struggled to create the drama that was meant to go on screen. Like all good movie people, this crew was willing to work long hours for good work. What discouraged them was working those hours in the service of ego instead of art. The crazy-making dynamic is grounded in power, and so any group of people can function as an energy system to be exploited and drained. Crazy makers can be found in almost any setting, in almost any art form. Fame may help to create them, but since they feed on power, any power source will do. Although quite frequently crazy makers are found among the rich and famous, they are common even among commoners. Right in the nuclear family, there's a reason we use that word. A resident crazy maker may often be found pitting family member against family member, undercutting anyone's agenda but his or her own. I am thinking now of a destructive matriarch of my acquaintance, the titular head of a large and talented clan. She has devoted her extensive energies to destroying the creativity of her children, always choosing critical moments for her sabotage. She plants her bombs to explode just as her children approach success. The daughter, struggling to finish a belated college degree, finds her saddled with a sudden drama the night before her final exam. The son with the critical job interview is gifted with a visitation just when he needs to focus the most. Do you know what the neighbours are saying about you? The crazy maker will often ask. And the beleaguered student will hear a horrific round of gossip that leaves her battered, facing her exam week beset by feelings of what's the use? Do you realise you're ruining your own marriage with this possible new job? And the son's hopeful career move is ashes before it begins. Whether they appear as your overbearing mother, your manic boss, your needy friend, or your stubborn spouse, the crazy makers in your life share certain destructive patterns that make them poisonous for any sustained creative work. Okay, first title. Crazy makers break deals and destroy schedules. They show up 2 days early for your wedding and expect to be waited on hand and foot. They rent a vacation cabin, larger and more expensive than the one agreed upon, and then they expect you to fit the bill. Classic boundary breaker. Just, oh no, that one's nicer, even though you didn't agree to it. That one's big, that'll be better for us, but you didn't agree to it. And it creates chaos, it creates a tension and a drama rather than just. And then the focus goes on them. But then they'll blame you for not going with the flow. Crazy makers expect special treatment. They suffer a wide panoply of mysterious ailments that require care and attention whenever you have a deadline looming, or anything else that draws your attention from the crazy maker's demands. The crazy maker cooks her own special meal in a house full of hungry children and does nothing to feed the kids. The crazy maker is too upset to drive right after he has vented enormous verbal abuse on the heads of those around him. I'm afraid Daddy will have a heart attack, the victim starts thinking, instead of, how do I get this monster out of my house? That's another thing we do. And then if you're on a spiritual path, they'll manipulate you. You should be a bodhisattva. You should help them out, and they've gone through this trouble, and it's like, oh, don't you know how much this is really affecting me? Crazy makers discount your reality. No matter how important your deadline or how critical your work trajectory at the moment, crazy makers will violate your needs. They may act as though they hear your boundaries and will respect them, but in practice, act is the operative word. Crazy makers are the people who call you at midnight or 6 a.m. saying, I know you asked me not to call you at this time, but... Crazy makers are the people who drop by unexpectedly to borrow something you can't find or don't want to lend them. Even better, they call and ask you to locate something they need, then fail to pick it up. I know you're on a deadline, they say, but this will only take a minute. Your minute. It's always, maybe you come into some money and then suddenly, oh, can you lend me some? It's like, oh, because they know that you're probably trying to be good and stuff, and then they just make you feel guilty about something good that's happened to you. Crazy makers spend your time and money. If they borrow your car, they return it late with an empty tank. Their travel arrangements always cost you time or money. They demand to be met in the middle of your workday at an airport miles from town. I didn't bring taxi money, they say when confronted with, but I'm working. Crazy makers triangulate those they deal with. Because crazy makers thrive on energy, your energy, they set people against one another in order to maintain their own power position dead center. That's where they can feed most directly on the negative energies they stir up. So-and-so was telling me you didn't get to work on time today. A crazy maker may relay. You obligingly get mad at so-and-so and miss the fact that the crazy maker has used hearsay to set you off kilter emotionally. This is a powerful one. You, just on a personal note, like a lot of these things you'll maybe see at certain times. Like this is like still intellectual. When you see it energetically, that's when it's really powerful. And I just happened to be sitting just on my own in the meadows. There's a calf and just sitting on my own, and I was just in a position where I could observe someone without them seeing me. I kind of like looking down, and then these people getting into gossip, and the person next to it, like getting into gossip, and I could just see so clearly the energy of thrill of now I'm involved, and it's like it's actually a perverted search for meaning and connection, but the only way is like negativity, and then it's happening. Then I mean something to you. Yeah, so it's just a perverted way to do it. It's horrendously how powerful it is. And we've all done that, right? At some point. Got involved in gossip to then feel we're important. Crazy makers are expert blamers. Nothing that goes wrong is ever their fault, and to hear them tell it, the fault is usually yours. Says, oh, sorry, Dad, that's my dad. Absolute nutshell. If you hadn't cashed that child support check, it would never have bounced, one crazy-making ex-husband told his struggling for serenity former spouse. Crazy makers create dramas, but seldom where they belong. Crazy makers are often blocked creators themselves, afraid to effectively tap their own creativity. They are loath to allow that same creativity in others. It makes them jealous, it makes them threatened, it makes them dramatic at your expense. Devoted to their own agendas, crazy makers impose their agendas on others. In dealing with a crazy maker, you're dealing always with the famous issue of figure and ground. In other words, whatever matters to you becomes trivialized into mere backdrop for the crazy maker's personal plight. Do you think she loves me? They call you to ask when you're trying to pass the bar exam or get your husband home from the hospital. No boundary on when to share emotional stuff about your life. You're like, what's actually going on with you doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. They don't think about it when they just... Crazy makers hate schedules, except their own. In the hands of a crazy maker, time is a primary tool for abuse. If you claim a certain block of time as your own, your crazy maker will find a way to fight you for that time, to mysteriously need things, meaning you, just when you need to be alone and focused on the task at hand. I stayed up until 3 last night. I can't drive the kids to school. The crazy maker will spring on you the morning you yourself must leave early for a business breakfast. With your a little mirror moment. Crazy makers hate order. Chaos. I didn't write it. Chaos serves their purposes. When you begin to establish a place that serves you and your creativity, you're crazy maker. Oh. Oh, little crazy maker. You disturbing us. Chaos serves their purposes. When you begin to establish a place that serves you and your creativity, your crazy maker will abruptly invade that space with projects of his or her own. What are all these papers? All this laundry on top of my work table? You ask. I decided to sort my college papers, to start looking for the matches for my socks. Crazy makers deny that they are crazy makers. They go for the jugular. I am not what's making you crazy, your crazy maker will say when you point out a broken promise or a piece of sabotage. It's just that we have such a rotten sex life. If crazy makers are that destructive, what are we doing involved with them? The answer, to be brief but brutal, is that we're that crazy ourselves, and we are that self-destructive. Really? Yes, as blocked creatives, we are willing to go to almost any lengths to remain blocked. As frightening and as abusive as life with a crazy maker is, we find it far less threatening than the challenge of a creative life of our own. What would happen then? What would we be like? Very often we fear that if we let ourselves be creative, we will become crazy makers ourselves and abuse those around us. Using this fear as an excuse, we continue to allow others to abuse us. If you are involved now with a crazy maker, it is very important that you admit this fact. Admit that you are being used, and admit that you are using your own abuser. Your crazy maker is a block you choose yourself to deter you from your own trajectory. As much as you are being exploited by your crazy maker, you too are using that person to block your creative flow. If you're involved in a tortured tango with a crazy maker, stop dancing to his or her tune. Pick up a book on codependency or get yourself to a 12-step program for relationship addiction. There's probably outdated ones now, but there's things you can look up. There's excellent programs for stopping the crazy maker's dance. The next time you catch yourself saying or thinking, she is driving me crazy, ask yourself what creative work you are trying to block by your involvement. Anybody relate? Yeah?
Yeah. Not so blatant. But yeah, and being the crazy maker and also being on the so codependent, taking turns, definitely.
Yeah, you guys on the screen here.
I come from a crazy maker and I am a crazy maker.
I come from a crazy maker and I am a crazy maker. You got that, man? No, the one thing that you laugh at.
The patience of a saint.
Yeah, so it's like an externalized, that's talking externally, but we're looking at those internally as well. Yeah, so it's often our own voice that just does those things. Yeah, we're getting something going, and the self-doubt comes in, the inner critic, right? Da, 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 and comes up with these. Sometimes for a lot of people it's an external form. There will always be people that in our lives you're not going to avoid. It's just noticing it and just not putting up with it. One of the ways that we put up with it, and you'll notice this when in the world crises as an example, is that you'll put up with it and say you're a bodhisattva. That's often what Buddhists do. Like lots of stuff's happening that's really bad in the world, and just go, they'll come out, oh, you acquiesce, because that's what a bodhisattva will do.
Is that like a form of passivity?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the fawn response.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's we're afraid of confrontation. And we can be afraid of confronting our own doubts about ourselves. And it's like it's no mean thing to present your work or yourself to other people. Gotcha.
Yeah, I think on a personal level, I had been in a situation where I felt the bodhisattva actions were coming up within me, and I was thinking, you do need to give this person time. You do need to do what this person wants you to do. And it needed to be like there was a red flag, you might say, after red flag after red flag. And I'm thinking, well, people are hurting, you know what that feels like. Just keep giving until it was like right bang in my face. You're wrong. You're not giving me enough. I need to be more special. I'm like, whoa. So I think maybe that learning process about the bodhisattva actions to maybe address those as they were coming up rather than continue without maybe speaking my truth at the time was helpful. But to recognize it is one of the biggest lessons I think has come for me. Yeah.
Yep. There's the different, just completely, we're multidimensional beings, so being a bodhisattva, sometimes it's just being very patient with people. Yeah, very patient with someone who's doing that and recognizing it and having empathy. And other times, the one that's more difficult is being confronting people with their bullshit and realize that's the most compassionate thing for them. It's like, you're out of line. This way of behaving is not right. And it helps them when we don't care what people think about us, but we know we're doing the right thing. And this like sharpening the sword in life, right? It's not easy. But very important things. Oh, I think it's like, I just want this, and maybe I've got some exercises that we can do. Like we run out of time, so you can. Oh, are you farty? Are you pooing? So one exercise is you draw a circle. So we won't do it just now because we'll finish the class, but it's like homework. And divide it into 6 pieces of pie. And label one piece spirituality, exercise, play, work, friends, romance, adventure. Yeah. And put a dot in each slice to the degree to which you're fulfilled in that area. To the outer edge of the circle is like you're really fulfilled, and closer to the inner you're not so fulfilled. Yeah. And then you connect the dots. If you're really balanced, it'll look like a mandala. Okay? And if you're out of balance, it'll look like a distorted spider. And then you just kind of see where you're out of balance. So it could just be helpful visual for people. These things can be helpfully visually. And then make a list of 10 changes you'd like to make for yourself. Hey, from the significant to the small. Yeah, or vice versa. So it'd be like, I'd like to, get new sheets. I'd like to go to China. So, yeah. Paint the kitchen. Yeah. Dump my friend because they're a bitch. And do it this way. I would like to do. I would like to do. And then you just notice that when you make small shifts, they say like a newly painted bathroom can make you feel lots of self-care and love. So, a couple of exercises to do. essentially, you notice they've got like a theme, which is taking time out, taking care for yourself, doing things you want to do, making the effort to do it, getting rid of people in your life who prevent you from doing it. You know, don't listen to people in life who prevent you from living creatively. Noticing that just being joyful and creative is the way to be creative. The more creative you are, the more you'll be it. Letting go of goals, being playful, following the flow of life, that life itself is creative. And maybe I'll like send you a list of things to read out again, just like affirmations and like, I am creative, I am following the creative path. This will allow the creator in. Make this connection that creativity is God itself. Yeah. It's like I've mentioned it. Oh, you're doing a creative poo. Is you are the hands for God, you are the eyes for God, and God is just creating all the time. Yeah, the mind is a stale thing. And something like Rahima was sharing this, like this made me think that about judging what you're writing, about how it should be written. A lot of our creativity is not creativity, it's imitation of what is considered publicly acceptable, that we'll try and imitate in a way so that people will like, whereas something creative's new that's no one's seen before. How are you going to know if you're going to like it? You don't even know if you like it. Which goes into being creative with your friends. Usually we fit into patterns of speaking in a certain way, behaving. So if you just try something new, you might not know if your friends will like it. Right? It's courageous, but this is where God is, and it's trusting that the freshness, the newness, the life, the enjoyment of, as Joseph Campbell said, nothing's exciting if you know what the outcome's going to be. There's no joie de vivre if you know what's going to happen.
Feels safe though, doesn't it?
Feels safe though, yeah. It is, but it doesn't nourish the soul.
No.
Robs it, yeah. So there's a real theme coming here, yeah. And that is your duty, your tantric duty, to bring your talents out, your creativity. Like, that's the path. It's these energies. And when we're doing the spiritual work, we're saying, I've said many times, we're turning it from chaos into a cosmos, the same energies, that they're no longer perverted, often perverted by this inner critic. We need this self-love which will allow these natural energies to flourish. And this is like the creative life that we want. We can just honour the God inside us.
On the subject of friends, I was really noticing how my need to be needed was kind of demoting my friendships into a sort of parody, because actually I wasn't really in the mood, or I really wasn't in the mood, and I was still showing up in the way that I imagined they wanted. So I had with one woman in particular, I just said, you know, we both do this play acting like but we're not, and it was really good, and a lot of that sort of codependent friendship style of needing to be needed is I'm consciously not doing it anymore, and that is also really empowering in terms of going to the studio and not accidentally giving someone an afternoon or an hour on the phone or whatever. So yeah, it's moving. It's on the move.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, it's good. Thank you.
Okay. At 10 past. It's one of my things, always trying to make sure I come on time rather than going over time. Not the best thing. So, it's a beautiful sunny day.
that might not be with you watching this later on. But thank you so much for being here. And see you later.